I'd like to call to order the Milan Area Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you to everyone attending this evening and then who will be watching on the recording. All board members are present this evening. We will start with communications and community engagement for public comment. A reminder, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When addressing the board, you'll be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation, or designated as future agenda items for board consideration. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who'd like to address the board? All right, we will move on to routine matters for approval. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 28th, 2024.
Motion by Pryor.
Support by Rosenleacher.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 28th, 2024. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, it's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 28th, 2024. Ms. Heika.
Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Motion carries 7-0.
Next, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting closed session of August 28th, 2024.
Moved by Murray.
Support by Gutierrez.
So moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting closed session of August 28th, 2024. These are found in the envelopes. Does anybody have any concerns? Pass those in. Thank you. All right, it's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting closed session of August 28th, 2024. Ms. Heika.
Pryor,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Murray,
Yes.
motion carries 7-0.
Next up, I need a motion to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses.
Moved by Farrow.
Support by Gutierrez.
So moved and supported to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses. Is there any discussion?
This is slow.
Yes, Mr.
I
Farrow.
just wanted to bring to the board's attention that I did have a few questions on a few of the checks. They were promptly answered by Krista Hendricks. Also, with respect to our budget, state payments will not be in the September financials, so you'll see them in October. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrow. Any other? All right. It's been moved and supported to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses. Ms. Heika.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
motion carries 7-0.
All right. Next up in the area of our strategic plan, we have decided to add a regular update for the 2024 sinking fund millage proposal for our finance and operations, and Mr. Gearbaugh will walk us through the work on that sinking fund millage thus far.
Thank you. I just want to share some information, and a lot of this has gone out via our different communication channels. But it is important to let folks know that you have 4 opportunities to get educated about the sinking fund. One, tomorrow night at 6 p.m., there will be a Zoom community forum that can be viewed by going to milanariaschools.org, the current topics section, and you will see the link to the Zoom. That Zoom session will be recorded and then put on the website and possibly the board's YouTube channel. On Tuesday, September 17th at 6:30 p.m. in the Simons Auditorium, there will be a Big Red board chat where 3 board members will be there to talk about the sinking fund and answer questions. During that Zoom session tomorrow as well, there will be a question and answer session at the end. We truly want our community to know the facts behind what we are asking them to vote for. On Tuesday, September 24th at 5:30, there will be a community forum in the Milan High School Theater. That is just before the Meet the Candidate night. So we'll run the forum from 5:30 to 6:30, and then we will have the candidate forum later that evening in the high school theater. And then on Tuesday, October 15th at 6 p.m., I will conduct another community forum in the Milan High School Theater. Again, all of these are an opportunity for our folks to learn about the sinking millage and to also ask questions. So for folks to learn a little bit more tonight, I just want to do a quick preview of what those forums will include. First, remember that the election is on Tuesday, November 5th. And this is something that all residents of Milan area schools vote on. It does not matter which county you live in, it's what school district you live in. We will talk about the facts behind what a site sinking fund is. We will talk about what can be paid for with sinking fund dollars. We will talk about what cannot be paid for with sinking fund dollars. Sinking funds are very highly regulated and monitored by the state of Michigan. If this passes, we will have to report each year exactly what we spent the funds on, and those will be verified as being appropriate purchases by the state of Michigan. Again, we will spend some time talking about how this will protect funds in the general fund by allowing us to cover some of our expenditures through the sinking fund. We are asking for 1.5 mils for 10 years. It is estimated that in 2025, 1 mil or 1.5 mils will bring in about $1.17 million. I will have a chart during the presentations that kind of detail what that means to your property taxes, so that everyone understands exactly what they're voting for. I think it's important for folks to know that our buildings are getting older, and that's the main reason that we need this sinking fund. It's to maintain our facilities. The building that we sit in right now that everybody thinks is new is actually 20 years old this year. And if you think about what you need to do to your house when it gets 20 to 25 years old, you need a new heating system, you need a new cooling system, you might need to replace the roof. You've probably already replaced the hot water heater and the water softener. They're just those things that we need to do to maintain our buildings. And without something like a site sinking fund, those expenditures have to come out of the same funds that are meant to be spent in classrooms. I do want to clearly state that this is not because we have not maintained our facilities. We have a great maintenance staff and a great custodial staff. We have a lot of contractors that we work with. We do regular roof repairs and maintenance, parking lot repair and maintenance, sidewalk repairs, carpet and flooring upgrades, heating and cooling repairs. We do all of those things, but at some point you just get to end of life of some of those systems. So the 4 main areas that you can spend these funds on, and we will go into detail during the presentations on exactly some of the specific projects underneath these categories, but the categories are facilities and grounds, updates and improvements. That includes athletic facilities. The second category is transportation. We can buy school buses with these funds. Please keep in mind, we do buy at least 1 bus a school year. School buses just went through a major overhaul in what their features have to be, and we are being told that the bus that we used to spend $110,000 on will now be north of $220,000 per bus. So if we have to buy 2 buses a year, that's almost $500,000. And if we don't have a site sinking fund, then those buses are being purchased out of money intended for the classrooms. The next category that you can spend money on is technology, and we intend to use some of those funds, if approved, to continue to keep our technology in the district updated. That includes only instructional technology. So it's either the technology that kids have in their hands or technology that the teachers use to teach. That's the only technology that you can purchase with sinking funds. And then lastly, the last category that we can do are safety upgrades in the district. And we have done some of those. We had some safety grants over the last couple of years, but there are still some things that we would like to do to make our district even more safe. And again, these funds would allow us to do those. So with that, that's kind of a preview. The presentation during the Zoom tomorrow will be a lot more detailed. We'll give very specific items under these that we intend to work on. But again, all we ask is that our voters get educated and vote. Understand what you're voting on and then vote the way that you feel is appropriate. Thank you.
And then it is important to note that the ballot language does include another category that we could spend money on property or real estate, which we have no, we are not interested, no intention of purchasing property. So, any questions for Mr. Gearbaugh or comments?
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Gutierrez.
I would just note that that additional language that's in the ballot language is something that we had to have in there based upon the advice of legal counsel and the way the statutes are written. So it's not that we really have any intention, it's just a necessity.
Thank you. Others? All right. Next up in the area of academics and programs, I need a motion to approve the principles of building trades, building and construction trades 1, and building and construction trades 2 as courses as presented in attachment A.
Moved by Heike.
Support by Rosenleacher.
So moved and supported to approve the principles of building trades, building and construction trades 1, building and construction trades 2 courses as presented in attachment A. We are excited to hear from Mr. Shin, Mr. McMahon, or Mr. Gearbaugh in regards to the addition of these classes. So,
Yeah, so I'll start, and then if you have questions, any of the three of us can jump in and help answer those. You do have an attachment in your packet that was part of the board pack that went out, so the community can see what we are doing. It is an odd time of year to be adding a class, but the opportunity presented itself to us, and we really felt that's something we had been talking about for a couple of years. It was time to implement. So we are looking at 3 different courses. One is the Principles of Building Trades, which will really kind of be just a basic class that would be good for anybody that's eventually going to be a homeowner. It's just going to teach some of that basic electrical, basic plumbing, how do you use hand tools, some of those things that we all need to know to be able to make repairs around our house. When you get into Building and Construction Trades 1 and Building and Construction Trades 2, those will continue to evolve. And we hope by next year we'll be Career Tech Ed certified. And so kids will actually be able to gain Career Tech Ed credits by taking those courses. We do have a building trades class that our kids can be in right now at Southwest Washtenaw Consortium. But due to the fact that that program is used by 6 different districts, right now we get 4 slots. We open this class up to the students just to find interest, and we already have north of 100 students interested in taking these courses, which shows us that we just don't have the slots we need. And so we are very excited to be able to offer this. There may be a need for some funding, but I can tell you Mr. Shin is already writing grants. Mr. McMahon's involved in writing grants. I've already tapped all of the construction companies we work with and the people that built this building, and to just say, what could you help us with? Either donate us some tools or give us some funds. I think we're going to be able to get a decent amount of it covered with that. And then if it does become Career Tech Ed certified, that actually brings in what are called added cost dollars that would help us continue to buy supplies for that program. So you do have a course description for each of those 3 classes. And then I will say, when you look at the last 2 pages, the lettered items, A through I, those are actually questions that we have designed in a new course request document that Mr. McMahon uses as the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum. And so that's Mr. Shin and Mr. McMahon kind of writing answers to those important questions that we might ask when we're developing a new class. So with that, I will open it up to questions. And as you ask them, we will let Mr. Shin or Mr. McMahon or myself answer them.
Mr. Sislo?
yeah, Mrs. Gutierrez.
I have a couple of questions, Brian or Mr. Shin or Mr. McMahon. So just if I'm clear, this is 3 new courses, each 2 semesters each.
Yes.
So a student could take building trade classes for 3 straight years. And does the schedule allow students to get through all of these if they want to?
Yes and no. I mean, the intention of most of your CTE programs is that your students will be completers. So
Mm-hmm.
realistically, the principles of building trades is will be open to 9th through 12th graders. The course size around 30 would be our hope. And then year 1 and year 2 are going to be smaller, 25, hopefully double blocked at some point. And then they have a certain number of hours that they're going to meet. It's very hard to then jump into. Nobody who doesn't complete 1 can do 2.
Right.
So the hope would be that, yes, we're having that every year and you're navigating it. Could the student do all 3 hypothetically? But typically with our consortium students, junior and senior, that takes up a lot of your time.
Right.
So the good news is it's open to everybody. There's no prerequisites. But once you're in those CT months, kids tend to that's a cohort.
Well, that was my question. Are there prereqs? Because my correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding was they had to take the principles class to get to 1, and then 1 to get to 2. But is that not the case?
No, we're running principles this year because we're not CTE certified. It'll allow Mr. Walling to navigate the intricacies of learning the basics, and it was too late in the year to double block it.
Yeah.
So these are going to be 1-hour blocks this year, 5 hours a day, approximately 20 students each section. Next year we'll run 2 or 3 sections of principles and 1 section of CTE 1.
Okay.
Year 3 will be 1 section of principles, 1 of CTE 1, 1 of CTE 2. So in order to get the hours in, you really need to have more than 60 minutes, which is what we offer. 120 is going to be a lot, but it'll allow our students a lot of room for growth. So yes, they can absolutely fit that in.
Okay.
I notice it accounts for senior math,
Right.
for that, but science doesn't count for the OA yet. We'll figure out that, but CTE allows for a lot of freedom in terms of what it qualifies for graduation. So that's part of the reason why if we add a new elective that's not CTE, it's very hard you can't make it count for a lot.
Yeah.
So this works out really well for that.
Well, that is what I liked about it, is not only that there was a sequence that a student could really invest and get some serious preparation out of it, but also that it was able to cross count for certain things.
And I think to specifically answer your question, you do have to take building and construction trades 1 before you can take 2, but you don't have to have had principles of building before you can take construction 1.
Okay.
And you can do, yes. Yep.
So anyone who takes 2 has to spend at least 2 years
Yes.
in the coursework. Okay.
Yep.
My other question was that I noticed we won't be able to get the CETE approval until the next school year. And can you just explain to the community what that means or what that gets for our students, given that we won't have that this year?
I'll do my best, and then if Mr. Shin wants to add anything, he can. So CTE has a lot of paperwork to complete and a lot of processes. All of the courses at the consortium are approved, and our ag science classes here are CTE approved. But it takes there's a whole application process to the state of Michigan to get a course CTE certified. Your teacher also has to be CTE certified, which we don't see any issue with, but
Right.
that takes a little bit of time for the teacher to go through that process. And then you also have to have a community guiding committee that meets regularly, and so we've got to get that committee built. And so there's just a lot to the process. And we are already working with the county CTE director, and he is gladly going to help walk us through this process because he actually is excited that we're going to be offering this class here at Milan.
You actually have to go a year without certification.
Oh, you
that's
do?
Part of it is
Okay.
because you have to build the actual curriculum and navigate that. So this might seem rushed on the outside, but the reality is, hey, we've been talking about this for a long time. Ryan and I have ever since kind of NCIS has shifted what it was and what we were intending to be moving forward. And this was an opportunity to say we needed a year anyways.
Yeah.
And so if we're going to do this, this is a great opportunity to flex that time and say we're gonna have a rough couple of weeks with a new teacher regardless. Get it done now with those kids and navigate this because it's going to be a 3-year process that way. But Mr. Wallane, obviously, we want to make sure he was on board. The district has committed some resources if he wants to take classes. But as far as CTE certification goes, there aren't any barriers to getting that all done. But it takes time, and so we have to get the local businesses together. You have to build paperwork. What you actually have in front of you for CTE 1 and 2 is a state. You can go to their website and see what it is. There's a zip code. That's not something we created. So that course description is pretty standardized across the state. And then the principles of algebra, similar to what Dundee and Dexter are doing right now.
Okay, that's really helpful, thank you. Just two more small points for the minutes. I think that the attachment was actually attachment B, not attachment A in our board pack.
It got flipped when we flipped the order
Did
of
you
the
flip them?
agenda.
Okay,
And I
got
did
it.
update the one that's online.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you. I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that maybe board members who are not very handy can tap into some of these skills because I could sure use this schooling. So I'm glad.
As with any course, we'd love to have you visit anytime. I mean, we will be leveraging those relationships with the local community.
Yeah.
Too. I think one of the pieces that we all talked about, especially with Matt, is the local businesses who he graduated with a lot of those people
Yeah.
in school of trades and navigate that. And we've reached out to Rotary, and we have the right base to make this a very successful program. So as I said before, it was done very quickly right now, but like the planning, the prep work, the understanding what it's going to take and navigate Ryan and I, and Brian, for that matter, and it just was really awesome thing to happen.
I think it speaks to the
Yeah.
need for our students to have these skills as they transition into adulthood. I think that it's a very important skill set. So thank you.
I already reached out to Clark Construction, who, as you know, has done a lot of our construction here. And they work with a lot of subcontractors, and they're already excited to get involved. They even said, you know, once the classes are really up and taken off, they would love to come in and talk about the next step of going into construction management and what does that look like. And they're willing to come out and be a guest lecturer for a class or two. And so, I mean, we've already got all of these resources ready and available. So
Yeah,
it's exciting.
It's probably not important for tonight, right? But like, if you want to know more about the 3, 5, 7, 10-year plan for what this program, I'd love, you guys can talk individually and share, and get out maybe like our long-term plan for what that is. This is just a little of that, but there's some pretty neat concepts out there. I think that'll expand into the business end and the marketing end and other components. So it's not just going to be another construction. But yeah, we'd love to have you down.
I
You
could
build a
use it, let me
birdhouse.
tell ya.
Start with birdhouses.
Just a couple things. Mr. Shin has already written for a grant through the Monroe Foundation through GMACF, so I know that's been in the works, so I appreciate that. And then I think when we did our strategic planning, this was one of the things that the community did talk about was those life skills, hands-on learning such as this. So it does meet the needs of the community per that strategic planning. So I'm excited to have this opportunity for our students. So others? Yes, Ms. Ika.
I just wanted to thank all of you who put all this work into this because I always think that change is an opportunity, and you've really run with that concept and are really thinking outside the box. And I just truly appreciate that because I think our kids really need it. And so thank you for taking this opportunity for change.
I am going to add, while I'm answering the questions tonight, it's really Mr. Shin and Mr. McMahon that made this happen. So I know I'm kind of the voice here, but I didn't do the work behind this. It was the two of them, and I'm with you. I really appreciate all the time at a very busy time of year to say we're going to make this happen. And both of them have stepped up, and so was Mr. Wallin. And I mean, everybody involved is very excited and wants to make this work. And so I thank all of those folks involved as well.
Any others? Ms.
Mr.
Murray? Yeah.
Just in echoing what's been said, but I wanted to add an additional note of thanks for everyone's flexibility, including the students, when we make a change like this and we have, a staff shift that leads to an opening, which an opportunity then grows out of. It necessitates a lot of flexibility and, students reimagining their schedules and making some new decisions on the flip of a coin. And so just want to really call that out and state my appreciation for that. And when I think about what I personally envision for our district's growth and change and responsiveness to our students and our community as we go forward into the next few years, decade, CTE type stuff and those hands-on opportunities and the ability to blend curriculum across content areas and really apply that to real life situations and potential careers this is exactly the kind of thing that I want for our district. And it's certainly in keeping with a broader movement that's happening across our country and across our state. So I am excited that we get to be in that wave and riding it along people, and perhaps even being at the leading edge of it, right? That's exactly where I want our district to be. So thank you all for that. Appreciate you.
Can I double dip real quick?
Sure.
Just because I agree with you, Sarah, and I hadn't thought about the flexibility that the students are demonstrating. And, in a professional life, that being nimble and being flexible and being, able to navigate change is a life skill that not everyone has. So I do appreciate these students being willing to accept this change too, and take on something that's new and, not kind of tried and tested yet. So I think that's kudos to all of them.
Something that was really neat, about 70% of the kids stayed. So, and we're talking about the work I did. I didn't have to do all the schedules again, so our brand new counselor and our mentor counselor who spent the week doing the grunt work really deserve that credit.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
the kids are excited for the change, and it reminds you that, sometimes we always think what's best for them, but if we offer those different opportunities, they can tell you, no, this is actually what I really want to do, because it was fun to see them stay.
Yeah.
You can move them wherever.
All right, and I appreciate you being here this evening, Mr. Shin. Any others? All right, it's been moved and supported to approve the principles of building trades, building and construction trades 1, and building and construction trades 2 courses as presented in attachment A. Ms. Heika?
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Rosenleacher.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Next up in our strategic plan area of personnel and leadership, I need a motion to approve Herb Morlock as the MAS Milan Area Schools Athletic Director effective for the 2024-2025 school year.
Moved by Farrow.
Support by Pryor.
It's been moved and supported to approve Herb Morlock as the Milan Area Schools Athletic Director effective for the 2024-25 school year. Mr. Gearbaugh?
Yes, again, not the best time to have to be hiring a new athletic director, but we understand that other districts have vacancies to fill too. We were excited to have a very good applicant pool for the position, conducted numerous interviews, and really, to me, I feel blessed that we're able to move one of our own veteran staff who really knows our kids and knows athletics, and is just really going to do a great job. Can't say a whole lot more other than really appreciate your support and thank Herb Morlock for stepping up and looking at a different avenue in his career.
Mr. Sisler?
Yes, Mr. Farrow.
I just want to echo what Brian said. I think it's an exceptional individual for the position. His sports background is impressive, and I appreciate his loyalty to our district. As Mr. Gearbaugh said, he knows our students very well, and I think he's going to be an excellent athletic director. Thank you.
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Ms. Heika.
No, I want to echo that too. I've known Herb a really long time, and when I heard he was the final candidate, I was very excited. I think he's going to do a great job. He was already at the last 2 football games. I saw him at the volleyball matches this weekend. So he has already embraced this, and I'm just excited to see what new perspective he brings to the role.
Others? Yeah, I will just echo that. I'm very excited to have Mr. Morlock take on this role for us. So, it has been moved and supported to approve Herb Morlock as the Milan Area Schools Athletic Director effective for the 2024-2025 school year. Ms. Heika?
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika, yes, sorry, Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right. And because of the 2 preceding agenda items, we have I need a motion to approve Richard Smith as a middle school social studies teacher and Michael Whitaker as a high school social studies teacher effective immediately.
Motion by Rosenleacher.
Support by Murray.
It's been moved and supported to approve Richard Smith as a middle school social studies teacher and Michael Whitaker as a high school social studies teacher effective immediately. Mr. Gearbaugh.
Again, we were lucky to have good candidate pools and to be able to conduct interviews. The teacher that we are bringing in at the high school actually has taught AP classes in another district and has several years of experience. Was also highly effective for the last 4 or 5 years in his district, so we feel very, very lucky to bring him aboard. The social studies teacher at the middle school is new to the profession, but had outstanding reference checks from his student teaching placement, and he has been what we kind of, we have everyday building subs. He actually was doing that in a building, and we were able to call and talk to that principal, and he had phenomenal reference from him as well. So again, just feel lucky this time of year to get great candidates and 2 good hires to fill these vacancies. Both of these folks will, tonight, as soon as the principals text them, be giving their 2 weeks notice. Some districts will let them leave a little bit earlier, but we will respect those districts and allow those teachers to stay there for 2 weeks. We want that respect when someone takes one of our teachers, and so we will make sure we give that respect to them if they want that teacher for 2 weeks. But we're really excited to bring these folks on board.
Yeah, and you mentioned it, obviously, huge thanks to the interview process as well as to Principal Bookout for her communication to the school in regards to the changes that were being made with Mr. Price moving to the high school. Keeping the community informed in regards to these moves is very helpful. Other discussion? All right, it's been moved and supported to approve Richard Smith as a middle school social studies teacher and Michael Whitaker as a high school social studies teacher effective immediately. Ms. Heike.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heike, yes. Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
I guess the cool thing about this one is that we're not replacing somebody who left.
Yeah.
I mean, we're replacing people
Just
that
moving pieces.
Okay, teachers, teachers. I'm talking teachers. I'm talking teachers.
Mr. Shen, can you text Mrs. Bookout and let her know as well? Thank you.
All right, next up, I need a motion to approve the master agreement with the Milan Area School Support Staff, MASSS, as detailed in attachment B.
Moved by Farrow.
Support by Pryor.
It's been moved and supported to approve the master agreement with the Milan Area School Support Staff, MASSS, as detailed in attachment B. I appreciate the attendance of some members of the MASS here tonight, and I appreciate the process that we went through in a matter to get to this contract. Mr. Gearbaugh.
I want to echo that. Thank you to 2 of the folks from the team for being here. They had a nice team that included people from all 3 departments that are included in this contract. What's nice is we were able to increase compensation, but we were also able to clean up a lot of language, tackle some things that honestly both sides had wanted to look at. And so that's why this isn't just a 1-page tentative agreement. As you'll notice with several of our tentative agreements this year, we're really working hard to get our contracts up to date, cleaned up. And some of that comes from our side, the district, saying, hey, we have some things we want to clean up. A lot of these came from the union and made sense. And so we were lucky to be able to get those involved in the tentative agreement as well. So we thank that group for working with us. We had some very productive sessions. And I'm excited to bring this to you. This makes 3 of the 4 contracts in place, and the 4th one is very, very close.
So, the group has ratified it.
Yes.
So that's why it's in front of us as a board to take action on it. So we appreciate the vote on your group's behalf that it's coming before us tonight in regards to that. Other comments or discussion? Ms.
Mr. Sisler.
Rosenleacher, yes.
I just also want to thank the support staff group. They were great to work with. I got to attend, I think, all but 1 session with them, and it was a great back and forth conversation. And they did a lot of homework to these are the language things that really need to be attended to. So it made it a lot more smooth. So thank you very much.
Mr. Sisler?
Yeah, Ms. Heika.
I was only able to attend one session, but what I walked away from that session was just how much each of the three groups truly cared about our students and the community and quite frankly each other, because they can sometimes have competing agendas, but they were all working together for the common good. And so I thought that that was very refreshing, and I appreciated that as well. And then, Mr. Gerbaugh, does this agreement require a specific insurance product or just the premium shares?
We are offering a second product through this for Blue Care Network,
Okay,
so it would probably be best.
okay. So then I will be abstaining due to a professional conflict.
Yep.
Others. Ms. Gutierrez.
I just also want to thank everybody that was involved in this negotiation. It was really pleasant, and I learned a lot from sitting down with all of you, and you came to the table ready to really put things in context and offered really great suggestions as a place to start. So I learned a lot from you, and I appreciate it. Thank you. I will be abstaining from the vote due to a personal conflict of interest with my spouse. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. Others. All right, so we will have 2 abstentions. It's been moved and supported to approve the master agreement with the Milan Area School Support Staff, MASSS, as detailed in attachment B. Ms. Heika.
Heika, abstain. Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
I abstain.
Motion carries 5-0 with 2 abstentions.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Next up, we return to communications and community engagement, public comments. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who'd like to address the board? All right, seeing none, we will move on to Mr. McMahon with Assistant Superintendent comments. Mr. McMahon.
Sislo, thank you.
Yep.
I have no grant updates to share with you today, which I'm happy to say. Just one comment. I just want to share. So since our last meeting, a vast majority of my time has been spent working with our software and our curriculum programs, our systems. We've been shifting for years and into like a more online world with our curriculum and programming, including Power School and Schoology and like all the LMS systems we use, and they are getting more complicated. And so it takes a lot of my time, and the reps we work with turn over quite a bit. So it's just everything's delayed, but also more complicated since we shifted grade levels. And so we've been spending a lot of time. But I mentioned this because I want to specifically point out Gina Matley and Dan Spagnol. He does our integrations for us. His office is in Paddock, but he works for the whole district. They've been tremendous, and a lot of times I just throw stuff at them, and then the companies change how they do it. And in fact, I've even had to engage Sarah Murray to help me with Discover Ed through REMC and WISD. So we're pulling out all the stops we can. And this is a time of year where we're doing a lot of purchasing, a lot of buying. Beckman will tell you in her office quite a bit this time of year. And so we've been hustling, but a lot of teamwork going into this. And we're fairly close to having everybody connected with the programs they need to and everything where it needs to be. It's not quite done yet, but we're getting there. But I just want to thank those folks for really stepping up and helping me when they're busy doing a lot of their regular job. I come knocking. They try to hide, but I'm pretty quick. So, that's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. Next up, superintendent comments, Mr. Gearbaugh.
Yes, just a few things tonight. One, our fall athletic teams are competing very well. Remember that our teams currently in season are cross country, equestrian, football, girls golf, sideline cheer, boys soccer, girls swimming, boys tennis, and girls volleyball. I am excited to announce that Milan Area Schools has 3 athletes currently up for the Monroe News Athlete of the Week. So if you would like to vote, please make sure to get out and do so. Those are Jackson Werman for football. In our last game, he rushed 172 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. Gunnar Cruz for tennis. He set a new school record for career wins at 58, and this is very early in his senior year. So I have a feeling he's going to kind of shatter that record over the rest of the season. So congratulations to Gunnar. And then Nolan Matley in soccer. He scored 3 goals and 2 assists in one game. And I will tell you, that's a little bit unheard of in soccer to have 3 goals and 2 assists in one high school soccer game. So again, all 3 just outstanding accomplishments. And again, pretty impressive to have 3 athletes from our district up for Monroe News Athlete of the Week. The high school held a successful open house on September 3rd. I did speak with Mr. Shin about that, and he reported that the evening went very smoothly. And again, he kind of echoed the same thing that the other principals did. There's just a different vibe in the buildings this year. And I think we're kind of finally putting some societal things behind us from COVID and some of those things, and just really feels like we are fully back to a normal school year. Reminder to everyone, the homecoming game is scheduled for Friday, November 20th against Grosse Ile. All 4 buildings have Spirit Week events scheduled, so it's neat to see even our young elementary students kind of joining in, and we appreciate all of the support. The parade will happen that Friday afternoon, and then the game here at home. The Milan Area Schools School Board Meet the Candidate Forum that is hosted by the Milan Area Chamber is scheduled for 7 p.m. on Tuesday, September 24th. The forum will take place in the Milan High School Theater. The forum will also be recorded and made available on the school board YouTube channel. This is the community's chance to meet and hear the candidates speak about important state and district educational related topics. The candidates are George Elder IV, Carrie, say your first part. Carvinen Gutierrez, Cassie Pryor, and Gary A. Tapke. We thank all 4 of those folks for stepping up and running for school board, and we wish them all well. Remember again, Election Day is Tuesday, November 5th. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. For more information on the forum, or if you would like to submit questions to be asked that evening, please feel free to visit the current topics section of milanereaschools.org, and there is a link to send questions to the Milan Area Chamber to have asked that evening after the prepared statements are given. I'm going to put one more plug in, just a reminder, tomorrow night I'll be hosting a Zoom community forum regarding the sinking fund that will be on the ballot in November. The forum will start at 6 p.m. For more information or the Zoom link, you can visit the current topics section of milanereaschools.org. The last thing I want to speak about is that Milan is going to have a printed newspaper again. And I'm kind of excited for that because it will be nice to have help disseminating information around our community. I was able to be part of a meet and greet with the Sun-Times News on September 4th. It was really nice. I appreciate that the Owl hosted that. There were actually, I know Mrs. Pryor was there. There were a lot of people. There were probably 25 to 30 people there. A lot of folks that will want to be involved in helping provide them with articles and information. The owner was there. The editor was there. Some of the reporters were there. It was just really nice to be able to speak with all of them. We look forward to working with them as the paper grows. If you don't know, the Sun-Times News is already reporting in Chelsea, Dexter, and Saline. So they kind of have that vibe of doing a smaller town newspaper. We will be looking possibly, if they get their circulation up, to switching to them being our newspaper of record. We need to see their circulation get to a number that we feel is adequate before we would shift. But again, when we do the Monroe Evening News, that kind of does leave a portion of our community out. But again, we want to make sure that they develop a large enough circulation, and then I'll be looking at coming to you to switch our paper of record. But again, just nice to have a printed newspaper back in town again. That's all I have.
All right, on to board member comments. I just have a few things. Student board member reps. We've had a handful that have applied, so we haven't had any seniors. I did ask Mr. Shin to send out a reminder for the deadline of this Friday, so hopefully we get a few more representative candidates to look at for our student board reps, so that we can choose those moving forward. And I do want to thank the chamber and Mr. Gearbaugh and the candidates for all the work that's happening. A lot of these things are happening as early as we can right now because of absentee voting. We want to make sure that our voters are informed because absentee ballots will be going out. So we wanted to make sure that we had a lot of this information out to the community prior to those absentee ballots going out. So I appreciate everybody's cooperation and the reasons why we are doing a lot of these information sessions now. So, and I will, just as Mr. Gearbaugh put a plug in for the Zoom tomorrow, I will put in a plug for next Tuesday, the Big Red Board Chat at 6:30 at Simon's. This is a very important vote for the Milan School District. We want to inform our voters as much as we can in regards to this and the importance of it for the district. It is extremely important. You've heard the board, you've heard Mr. Farrow. We need, in order to remain competitive with our salaries for our excellent teachers and support staff, we need to find other avenues to support our aging buildings, and that's what a sinking fund is designed for. And we want to educate our voters as much as possible in regards to that, so that they know the importance of their vote and how it can affect the children of the Milan Area School District. So I urge all of you to take those opportunities to attend those learning sessions and ask questions. So, other board member comments?
Mr. Sislo?
Yeah, Ms. Rosenleacher.
Just a couple of items. The Big Red Chat, as you just talked about, is on the Milan events citywide calendar. If there's other big events like these kinds of things, I'd like to know which ones we want to put on that calendar. I think, athletics gets distributed really, really well, but to the greater community, if you don't have kids in the school, this is a great way to post it. So I will put the Meet the Candidate Forum on that calendar tonight as well. And then as we schedule the future Big Red Chats, we'll get those out there. But anything else, and Mr. Gearbaugh, if you want the other sinking fund dates put out there, I'll grab those from you and put them on there. And then last but not least, on Friday the 20th is the homecoming parade. The board is signed up to march in the parade. Step off, we have to be at the Methodist Church at 4:30 for step off at 5:15. We usually meet on the corner because we're the first ones off the curb. Because if we're not, Mr. Shin will push us off the curb. So I just wanted to let you know that. And then I will be seeking to see if anybody, I know many of us are going to be at MASB at the same time the downtown trick or treat is this year. So I have downtown trick or treat goodies in my garage ready for anybody who can step in and hand those out on behalf of the board. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Rosenleacher. Others?
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Ms. Pryor.
I just wanted to say on Sunday, I had opportunity to go to the equestrian meet at Lenawee County Fairgrounds. It's the first one I've ever been to. It was awesome. They were really excited. For what they were telling me, they don't usually get people to come watch. So if you have an opportunity this Sunday, they will be there from 9 a.m. She said probably all the way till 7 p.m. Pick a time frame to go. The girls compete throughout the day in different events. It's really interesting to see that kind of sport because it's something they have to provide the main mode themselves, taking care of their horse, boarding their horse. It's a really dedicated lifestyle. It was really nice to see and talk to the coaches. So if you have a chance, please go. It's their last district meeting on Sunday. And then if they get selected for regionals, it'll be the following week, and it'll be an all weekend event. These students have to pay for their travel, their boarding, their taking of their horse. It's a very dedicated thing. So I wanted to mention that. And then this Saturday morning from 9 to 3, the girls basketball is having a craft show at the middle school to raise some funds for their program. So if you're not doing anything Saturday, please stop by. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Pryor. Others? Mr. Farrow.
First, I wanted to echo what others have said about the communication from the building principals. I know they don't have to communicate with the Board of Education, but the fact that they do is appreciated. I think they do an excellent job in keeping us informed and keeping the community informed. The other thing I wanted to mention, I think Ms. Heike brought attention to this previously, but if you're not aware, the Michigan legislature cut 31 AA mental health funding in June of this year. I remain hopeful that the Michigan legislature will review and consider restoring mental health funding. to the previous amount of $150 million as part of a potential supplemental budget. Despite concerns voiced by many, the state's budget for mental health funding is now at $25 million. So I would encourage voters to reach out to your respective state representatives and/or state senators to try and motivate action on this important matter. So that's all for me.
Thank you, Mr. Farrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is a huge cut in those services. So, others. Ms. Heika.
Mr. Sislo. I don't want to, belabor the point, but I want to encourage all of our community members to come to the sinking fund educational meetings. As Mr. Sislo said, this funding is very important to help keep us competitive. And I think if you've been in any of our buildings, you know that they are well maintained. But this sinking fund will allow us to, continue that high quality maintenance, but then also deal with, some high dollar things that come with just having an old building or even just any building at all, right? It'll help us pay for infrastructure and buses and technology, all the things that Mr. Girabaugh talked about. And because we can pay for all of those things from the sinking fund, that frees up money in the general fund so that we can, provide the services and the education to our learners, which is the real reason that we're here, right? And that includes paying our teachers, paying our support staff, becoming more competitive with everyone around us. So please come, listen, and ask questions. Spread the word, tell all your friends to come. I want to congratulate our fall sport athletes, and I also want to thank them for representing the community and the district and their families and supporters so well. I was at the game last Friday, the first home game, and I was just very proud of how everyone carried themselves with everything that was going on. There was a lot going on those last few minutes of the game. And I thought that our players and our students, everyone handled it very well. And I thought that, there was a lot of excessive taunting going on from the other side, and our players just didn't bite. And so I was very proud of all of them. I thought they really handled themselves well. I want to thank all of the families that attended the open houses. Your participation in the education of your learners makes all the difference in the world. And sometimes just showing up and meeting the teacher is all that is really needed. And so thank you everyone who took their time out to do that. And I also want to encourage everyone to attend the Meet the Candidates Forum, submit any questions that you might have, because this is a great opportunity for everyone to engage with the candidates, meet them, see where they stand on issues that are important to you. So please, everyone, come.
Thank you, Ms. Heika. Others. Ms. Murray.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I believe it's been mentioned here, and I understand or expect that Ms. Bennick will provide an update as our PAC representative at a future meeting, but because absentee ballots are going out soon, and it's going to potentially be another 2 weeks before we hear from Ms. Bennick, I did want to also mention that the special education millage for Washtenaw County is also up for renewal. Residents in Washtenaw County can find information about that if you go to washtenawisd.org. It's right on the main landing page under their news section. There's a really detailed outline of how that millage is used and how it impacts students throughout our county. But just briefly, I'll mention that state and federal funding currently only covers 37% of services across our county. But we're mandated by law to provide those students with those services that they need for special education. And so that millage currently accounts for 61% of all of our special education funding. So those funds are critical. They keep unrestricted general funds available for those programs and services that benefit every public school student. So again, this is another really important issue for our county. It directly impacts Milan area schools students. And so I highly encourage voters to, as they're thinking about our own sinking fund proposal, please check out washtenawisd.org and read about the special education millage renewal. That's another very important issue facing our county right now. So the only other issue or comment to make tonight is that I wanted to let the board know that I will be absent from the September 25th meeting due to a family event. And I'll send an email. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Murray.
And Ms. Murray mentioned this, but I think it's important that the special education millage is a renewal. It's a tax you're already paying, so it's not a new tax. It's not even an increase in the amount of the tax. It's just a renewal of a tax you've been paying for a very long time.
All right, any other comments? All right, thank you. Now we'll move into closed session. I need a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act for negotiation strategies.
Moved by Farrell.
Support by Gutierrez.
It's been moved and supported to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act for negotiation strategies. There will be no other business after the closed session except for adjournment. Is there any other discussion? All right, it's been moved and supported to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act for negotiation strategies. Ms. Heika.
Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Rosenleacher,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Barrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heike, yes. Motion carries 7-0.
We're going into closed session at 7:56 p.m. Thank you for coming this evening. Drive home safely. Into open session at 8:31 p.m. and we are returning to open session at 8:31 p.m. and we are adjourning at 8:31 p.m.